Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of Open for Discussion. I'm your boy, C. Maurice Ball, and I am your podcast host. Y'all know what to do when y'all see the little thing scroll across the bottom. Hit that subscribe button, join our community, and be a part of what we got going on. And today, we got in the building this young man who is out here doing big things. He is CEO. He's the founder of Bro Can We Talk, the movement that is spreading across the nation. He is an amazing father. He's an amazing husband, and he's out here doing big things and changing lives one conversation at a time, and we get to speak with them. But you know how we do, you know what we do, and you know how it goes down up in this piece. Kick that intro. Well, well, well. I
There
am
you go.
introducing to some and presenting to others my man, Damon Austin. What's
Well,
up, bro?
bro, can we talk?
Oh, yeah, we can chop it up.
Let's go. Let's go. What's
Word.
up, bro? How you doing, man?
Man, I am cooling. I am chilling in the cut.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
for y'all that don't know, I normally have a story at how I met my guest. Um, he and I, we go back probably almost 20 years, almost.
21.
Met him at church, at a church that we was both attending, and we just became boys. Since then, we done shared times and cookouts, and we done been at each other's house, and we done spend time with each other's family. So this is like a really good friend of mine. But I think he has a story. I thought he had a story that would be touching, that will be inspiring, that will move people into wanting to pursue their dreams and things like that. So, Mr. Damon,
Big bro. How you doing, man?
what's happening?
Listen, man. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on the Open for Discussion podcast, man. I'm excited. Uh, my bad. We took so long to get to this. My bad. But thank you for having me. I'm excited about the conversation. You know how we do, man. I have the honor of doing life with you. And
Right.
this is just a continuation of that we letting everybody else in on, man. Like you did, I have passed through Southern Indiana on a couple of occasions, man, and you and your beautiful wife were gracious, of course, enough to let your boy crash in the beautiful Ball Estate, and so man, y'all really are family, man, and every chance Tiffany and I get to connect with y'all, it's always love. So we love, love, love y'all, man. Salute to the
Man, we love y'all too. We love y'all too. Where are you residing from right now?
Sure. So we are in Charlotte, North Carolina. We were in Texas for a minute. My wife's mom, she got ill. We ended up coming back to Charlotte actually 11 months after leaving Charlotte to go to Katy, Texas. Love our family and friends that we made out there, but we are in Charlotte currently, and we're excited about being in Charlotte.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. So, Mr. Damon, in this structure of family, right? Where do you fall at in the structure of family?
Well, it depends on which family we talking about,
You
right?
talk about your birth family.
Sure, sure. So I am the oldest of two. I hail from Reedsville, North Carolina. Mom and dad have been married 51 years, and they'll be actually celebrating their 51st anniversary the middle of August. So we got a few weeks coming up. But yeah, man. So I am the firstborn of two. I'm actually at my sister's home right now. We That's one of the things about being back in Charlotte, man, is we have been intentional about the family dinners on Sundays, and so everybody met up at my sister and brother-in-law's house today. So yeah, man, that's where we at.
I mean, that's those are memories that are being created. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
y'all get a chance to get together before outside of anything happening. Y'all doing it on a consistent basis. I think that's one of the things that I miss about just being back in Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte for the most part, because that was where we were having events like that. We was doing things at the house, and we was having people over all the time. So
Yeah.
we was building a relationship, even though neither one of our blood family was in Charlotte. It was still a great opportunity where we could come and sit and fellowship with some people. So yeah, yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So as
I,
being the
yeah.
older brother,
Yeah.
you're the older brother. How much older are you than your sister?
Actually, I'm born September 77 and she is born November of 78. So we're about 14 months, bro.
Okay, so
Yeah.
fairly close,
Oh, we
fairly
talk
close.
all the
What
time. Very close.
what was were y'all close growing up?
Typical siblings at that age with that age difference, always fussing and fighting, but loved each other dearly. You know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. So Reedsville. What was Reedsville like as a young middle schooler that was trying to figure life out? Where is Reedsville inclusive? Is that a bunch of minorities, black people there, or no?
So I can't speak to the demographics today. I was actually 10 years old, so we're talking just finishing elementary age, or going into that last year of elementary when we moved to Charlotte. So we came with Charlotte in 1987. Um, to answer your question, Reedsville, very small, rural tobacco town. Um, Not a whole lot to it, but some amazing folks there, right?
So
Um, and I'm 10 when mom and dad moved to Charlotte. So, at that age, being 46, about to be 47 now, there's only like bits and pieces, the extreme bads and the extreme goods that I remember. I don't remember too much of the day-to-day stuff.
right, for sure, for sure. I mean, none of us do. Again, it's just those highlight things. So where'd y'all land at when y'all landed in Charlotte? Where'd you end up? What side of town was y'all on in Charlotte?
Yeah, so in 87, I remember it vividly. My mom, she was a school teacher in Reedsville, and she took a test with NCAE, CMAE, which is the North Carolina Association of Educators, and the Charlotte Mecklenburg Association of Educators. She took an exam, and I remember my mom was out of 200 applicants. She was one of the three that passed that test and that were chosen for this role. And so my mom came out of the classroom to represent teachers for the union, more or less. So teacher got in trouble for whatever reason. She was their representative with the state. So east side of Charlotte. As a matter of fact, those who are familiar with Charlotte, I grew up in well, not grew up, but I lived for 2 years in a duplex right across the street from East Mecklenburg High School, right off of Monroe Road. And in 1989, my mom and dad purchased their home, and they've been in that same location ever since, over in East Charlotte.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. So as a young Damon out here
Mm,
in these Charlotte streets, what was life like? And let's say around eighth grade. What, did you and your parents have a good relationship? Did you and your dad have a good relationship? Like
absolutely.
younger when
Yeah.
you were younger?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, at that time, I'm 13 years old, 13, 14, and dad is Superman at that time, right? At that time, you're still young enough where you haven't seen the fallacy at that time. You know what I mean? Dad has a cape, literally. And yeah, man, I was a kid who was all about spending time with my dad, man. I remember um, going to events with my dad. I remember working. I couldn't wait to go to work with my dad. So just wanted to be around him all the time, man. And I'm thankful that I still have him even now. I was definitely a kid who was spoiled, who I think as most teenagers, they don't see the weight of the sacrifices parents make. And so at that age, I was definitely walking around with this air of entitlement that I wasn't deserving of anything, but I remember being a brat, if I'm, being honest with myself, from 13 to 17. So, but
How important do you think having your father um, at that young age was to how you matriculated as you got older?
well, I I definitely don't want to take the soapbox stance and say woe is me, but I also have to look at it from both sides, right? I'm thankful that I had my dad in the home, but my father also has grown up a lot more recently, and he's the first to admit, right? Over the last 10 years, he's 75 now, but um, we all we all have different unique paths, and we all mature at different times in our lives through different situations. And so, if I'm being fully transparent, um, I didn't know the damage that was being done to me until later on, until I became an adult and I started to be able to look at things from a macro as opposed to, ooh, this was a great moment, right? Uh,
Uh-huh.
and just with that said, my dad was a guest on my show, and that was one of the things that we discussed was the lack of example that he had with his father. And so when I look back, all in all, not having an example, a model at all, my dad did a phenomenal job. He really did the best he could with what he had, and so he's to be commended for that. But but yeah, I mean, it wasn't all good and it wasn't all terrible. So I think I'm working myself, towards my best self, but I think it's worked out okay.
So when you go back to some of the pivotal moments in, let's say, high school, some of those pivotal moments, are you saying that the example that you needed wasn't there, so you had to try to you kind of had to figure it out, even though he was present, but the examples that he was showing you were things that you were picking up that created bad habits?
So I think that there was some behavior that was modeled that definitely didn't serve me in the best, but at the same time, that 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 seed, the tree, all of it have served me for the garden that I'm now watering. So I'm not going to complain about anything that I went through or that I saw with my own eyes, but um, I'm definitely a kid who I could have been a more vocal kid, as opposed to just kind of going along with the flow and accepting things as they came to me. So in hindsight, I wish I would have maybe voiced my opinion a little more, because it wasn't that I grew up in a household where my opinion was just not valued. That wasn't the case. Um,
Right.
it's just that I was aware of every, I was observant, but not necessarily opinionated, or at least not vocal.
So how was high school for you? Were you the in kid? Were you the sports kid? Were you the what crowd did you fall into in high school?
Great question. Great question. Uh, I would say I went to public school up until the ninth grade. Ninth grade, and you'll get a kick out of this. Ninth grade, mom and dad decide that my sister and I are going to attend private school, Charlotte Christian. Shout out to CCS. I made CCS cool before Steph Curry was hitting threes from the corner.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was a kid who was trying to be Mr. Funny Man and did. I was definitely succeeding in my extrovert abilities, right? Hey, everybody, look at me. I was an average student. I wasn't an exceptional student by any means, but I put in an average effort. So I really enjoyed math class. The rest of it, I couldn't care for. So I would say, man, high school was a fun time. Um, definitely, definitely could have used it for to set myself up. I would say for a different trajectory, but at the same time, looking back on it, I'm really thankful that I didn't go the 4 year route because my experience, my unique experience, have qualified me for where my feet are today. Right. So
So I mean, but that stuff is important though. You know what I'm saying? Like where you are today is a great place because life experiences have allowed you to be able to navigate in that space, in the space that you currently hold.
yes, sir.
But it took some processing back here, these years that until you gain the wisdom
Yeah.
of that stuff, that's real life stuff that somebody else is probably standing in looking at. So you went to Charlotte Christian, right?
So Charlotte Christian High School,
Okay.
um, and just to bring it up to today, Charlotte Christian High School, I end up meeting my the wife who would give me two children. Kyle is now 24. Caitlin is now 21. But I met my ex-wife at a high school basketball game.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so she was a victory. She was at VCC and I was at
Uh-huh.
Charlotte Christian. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and the brown skin with the pretty smile and the big you know who walked by and I said, "Hello, how are you?" And yes, sir, that was yeah. So we go back to 1995, bro.
Man, all this time I know you, I did not know that's how y'all met. So
Yeah.
was Charlotte Christian diverse at that time?
Well, if you want to call a class of 69 people and four of them who look like me, who were all male diverse, then sure.
Uh,
No,
now,
not
now
at all.
how difficult was that to make that adjustment? I mean, was it at school, but at home you stayed in a community that you didn't have to try to find your identity amongst a sea of people who didn't look like you, right?
No. So my experience at Charlotte Christian, man, was so unique because of the who we were as people, right? So you had the four guys, man, and literally from the time we were, laid eyes on each other before class till the time practice ended and we were, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. It was your mama jokes nonstop, bro. And so the dozens literally were the culture that whether it was 600 black kids or 200 white kids, it didn't matter, bro, because the group, the unit that I was cracking jokes on and roasting on a day in and day out basis, that's what made my time pass. And you know how that goes. Once that's your thing, it didn't matter if it was at football practice in between
Right.
snaps. It didn't matter if it was in class after the teacher said be quiet and you was the one that got the last one in and got everybody giggling. It didn't matter. So yeah, man, it was some we had some memorable moments, man. Memorable moments.
I, so I didn't know you went to private school either.
Hey,
That's interesting.
yeah, man.
Now, so what was what was one of your major takeaways from your high school experience from ninth grade to the time that you graduated? What was one of your life changing takeaways from that time?
Wow. If I had to just pick one off the top of my head, man, I would say that This was the first time that I was exposed to the wealth gap, right? This is because here I am, mom and dad on financial aid. My sister and I attended Charlotte Christian on financial aid, and I'm going to school with kids who were driving brand new 7 Series Beamers and the newest SUVs and all of the latest labels on their clothing. Like it was definitely the first time that I was like, whoa, there's levels to this. As I'm pulling up in the 87 Hyundai Excel, right? The 5 speed. And then I'm thankful for them all, but after I locked the engine up on the Hyundai, mom and dad blessed me with the Dodge Neon, and I'm parking it beside, Joey's brand new this and that, right? His 40, $60,000 car or whatever. So it's definitely, man, it was the first time that I was just exposed to real wealth, bro. My classmates, their dads and uncles own, multiple car dealerships and things like that.
How
So
did that make you feel? Did it make you feel inadequate? What came out of recognizing that there's a difference between how they live and how you live? What was the byproduct of that?
it should have made me a dog. It should have made me hungry, but I was comfortable. I was too comfortable, and the switch didn't flip. The spark didn't ignite for me. I didn't get it, and so I stayed comfortable. I stayed asleep, and I'll tell you, man, the dangers of being comfortable is that you'll never reach your best because you're doing just enough, and just enough will never get you to better. And that was something that I didn't learn until my mid to late 30s.
Okay,
I've
that's a
always
great.
I've always skated by on whatever natural ability or likability, and I can relate it to so many things, man. I really can.
So, what year did you graduate?
1995.
Okay, 95.
Yeah.
And what did you do after you got out of high school?
Man, what didn't I do after high school? So 1995, I so there's an inside joke, or at least there was an inside joke in my family. My ex-wife decided that she was going to UNC Greensboro, and so at that age, I'm open like a smoker, and I'm chasing her. Didn't really have a plan for me, but I knew, right? And so she goes to UNCG. I decide I'm going to go to trade school in Greensboro as well, Guilford Tech. So the running joke in the family is that I went to trade school to study abroad.
Ah,
So
ah.
yeah, man, 1 year up in Greensboro, and man, shout out to my late grandfather, but I stayed with my grandfather for a while. Um, and I was just commuting. This about 25, 30 minutes every day. I would commute to school, and then I spent some time staying with my aunt as well while I was up there. But I studied electrical installation. At that time, I wanted to be a electrician, actually, and I would be a fine electrician in hindsight because everything I do well. But I didn't have the discipline that was required for doing that. And honestly, man, I took one look at the code book and the National Electric Code. That book was like this, and I'm supposed to know it like the back of my hand. And I at 18 years old, I said, nah, let me find something else to do. And so I ended up coming back to Charlotte after 1 year, took some business administration classes, and decided I don't want to do school anymore. And I decided I wanted to work. My father, by this time, my dad, um, he'd always been a painter, at least on the side in some capacity. But 1990, he started his own paint company. And so by this time, we're talking, 96, 90, going into 97, and my dad's business is doing well. So I decided I was going to work with him. And I did. So I started working with my dad.
Okay. Okay. How did that pan out? Now, I'm kind of bouncing around. Let me kind of target these questions from the time that you got up to the technical college to
Hmm.
the time that you left. What were some of the things that you pulled out when you realized, like, you know what, I'm probably just wasting money? What was the what happened that made you go back home?
Well, so it wasn't even a focus of I'm just wasting money. I think that, well, the focus wasn't on the grades. I wasn't studying. I was actually studying my ex-wife full time, and just really just going just to go. So wasting money, as you said. Um, but I think it was pretty clear when my grades dropped. My dad wasn't going to let me remain. My mom and dad weren't going to let me remain. Hour and a half away, doing what I wanted to do. So Charlotte
Right.
made more sense. And like I said, came home and jumped in some business administration classes, which it's interesting. I didn't have any desire to be entrepreneur back then, in '97. But fast forward now, and we out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what would you say to somebody who is male or female chasing a relationship and just don't have the focus at that young age? What would you share with somebody that's that is starstruck by their potential girlfriend or boyfriend?
Sure. I would say whether you are focused on your future or not, the next 5, 10, 20 years are going to fly by with or without you, right? With or without your focus. And so there's nothing wrong with committing to someone, but you have to understand that you and that person are going to change. Everything about you is going to change every 3 to 7 years. You're going to be a totally different person. And so you just got to, if you're committed to the relationship, you just got to know it's continual work, and it's a lot. It's identifying who you are and finding your own balance is a lot. So navigating that with the concerns of life, work, and responsibility, and serving a partner. I don't know, man. I don't, I don't know if I would recommend it, but life can be lonely done alone too. It's impossible to fully do life alone. So I understand it. It's just a lot of responsibility that may or may not be right for someone at that age.
So you have older children who were at that point. Um, what would you have shared with them if you seen their focus shifting from the priority to the person?
Well, I would just help them to map out, at least, because I think the thing about it is when you're young, you don't look at anything with a macro, a wide angle lens. Everything is this is what it is. You can't see the forest for the trees when you're young. I would help them see where their feet are headed, maybe to see where this is, where is this path leading you to. And the thing about parenting, Mo, is so I've got a younger daughter, she's 11, and I'm parenting her in this season of her life totally different than I'm parenting my adult children. You know for yourself, as your children get older, you go more from parent to advisor,
Uh-huh.
and that's two different sensitivities, I guess, as far as the parenting goes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point, my children are fully cognizant of them being responsible for where they end up, for the decisions that they make. And so, I'm more a sounding board when my children want to talk than I am leading them at this point.
Understandable, understandable. During that time period, what is something that you regret, either something that you regret that you did, or something that you regret that you didn't do during that time period, that caused you to have a life changing moment during that time?
Well, the biggest thing that comes to mind with regret, a loss is not a loss when the lesson is extracted. But I made every bad decision I could with living for now and not planning for tomorrow, not knowing the value of the meager income that I was making. I remember, just I shake my head at it now, but I remember a time making $500 a week on Friday, getting paid five, six, $700, and just being excited that I was going to the mall to give billionaires my hard-earned paycheck. And so I think coming up, man, just that mindset of I can't wait to go to the mall. And back then, this was before streaming services were a thing. And back then on Fridays, I'm spending 50, $60 buying two or three, buying 3 to 4 CDs every Friday, bro. And just Tommy Hill figured this, and just so frivolous. So my real main regret, if I have one, is not saving for a bigger plan, not having a bigger focus than today. Again, not seeing the forest for the trees.
Was that something that you were taught?
No, no.
So,
In fact, I remember I'm one of those who my folks would say, don't mess with credit cards, don't mess with cigarettes. I never got the why of anything. Don't do this, don't do that. Never, if you do that, then this is what you can expect. And so I just think human nature, if someone tells you don't, you want to know why. And if they don't tell you why, you're prone to find out why, no matter what it costs.
so in that vein, what were some of the other things that you missed out on that you end up having to um, find the pieces to put the pieces together? Because that's a big one. Like,
Oh,
we're trying to teach Isaiah right now that about his finances. One, because I'm like you, wasn't taught the why behind, not the why to mess your credit up or any of that stuff. I got out in these streets and did that, and it took a very long time for me to understand why the why behind that.
yeah,
Right. It
yeah,
wasn't until I was in my 20s, right before I got married, my mentor was like, man, you need to get your credit straight. There's no way you go into a marriage with bad credit.
right,
And so I did everything that I could, because now you're talking about I'm 20, I'm 25 learning this lesson. My dad was an amazing dad. He just didn't tell me the why behind any of it, because he didn't. I can't say if he knew, or if he knew, he just didn't share that information. And as kids, we came up in an era where we didn't go and ask those kind of questions. You just follow suit, right? Like,
right.
nothing against nobody's parents. It is what it is. It's like they only can give you the tools and equip you with the things that they have. So that's why we're able to position our children now differently, because we got more tools. We got more life experience. We got more things that we can go back and look at. But back then, when you were in there, what going to the mall was the thing.
Well, and you have to factor in the ever present, I'm old enough, I make my own money, I'm going to make the decision, and this is what I want to do. Right. And so, um, even if they were telling me the things, there's still an element, a degree of, yeah, but this is my money. Right. And so, I just believe that I definitely had to burn my hand to figure out the fire was hot, and they could tell me every day, but I still needed to see. And so also with that, you think around, we're talking 97, 96 to 99, man. Predatory lending was a thing, and the credit cards were literally showing up at my house every week. You're approved, you're approved. And again, without that teaching, without that model, without that example, this card is showing up and it's free. Like, this is free money.
Right.
This got my name on it and it's free money, bro. Like, there was no education around it. And so, to your point, by the time I'm 25, credit is already looking crazy, not knowing that it's a tool. Money is a tool, credit is a tool. And so lack of knowledge can put you behind. Not only does it not keep you ahead, but a lack of knowledge actually sets you back in that example. And so, I find myself at this age, I'm 26, I'm coming out of, or going through at 26, I'm going through a divorce. Got married at 23. I'm going through a divorce at 26. So not only am I dealing with the quote unquote failure of a marriage, but I'm also comparing myself to my high school classmates at 26 who have no children. I now have two. They're traveling the world. I got car seats in the back of a hoopty, right? They're
Right.
literally getting stamps on their passport, graduating from UNCC with dental degrees and, all of the things. And I'm over here climbing ladders with paint, happy about my $700-800 on Friday.
So you got married at 23.
Courthouse wedding,
Okay.
eloped.
Uh-huh. So no counsel, no nothing. Y'all just bounced and did it.
You're pregnant.
Uh,
I think we should get married.
who idea was that?
Whoever it was, need they kicked. Go ahead and say it was mine or hers. It was one of ours. Her mom. We told her mom. I told her mom.
Uh-huh.
Her mom said, "Don't marry her."
You get you
What black mama that says don't marry her? She knew
okay.
we.
Okay.
When I look back on it, man, I didn't have the tools to lead myself, let alone to lead a family. And so that was actually wisdom. Um, at that particular conversation was wisdom coming from her mom.
Did you take heed to that wisdom? No.
We
Right?
went to the courthouse and got two total strangers who were there to also elope to be our witnesses. That's how that went. Yeah,
Let's talk about that. How did that so you had an example of a father, right?
sure.
Was was dad a good example of a husband?
No,
Okay.
no, and
So
and and he'll be the first to admit that.
yeah, and being your dad, that I love your father, and I love your mama. Like, and but the it's some pieces that come in that says because you didn't know how to be a good husband, how was that? how did that relationship start off? And here's another question I want you to answer: how did that relationship start off? And uh, were there yellow flags before red flags before you got into that relationship?
No, no. I honestly can say, shout out to my ex. While there were certainly things that areas where she had to grow and needed to grow, there were also areas that I needed to grow. She was, for what you could expect, she came from a two-parent household as well, where her mom, the popular figure of speech or the phrase would be, "Where's the pants?" Her dad is more of a silent leader, and her mom is more vocal. So that was her example, right?
Uh huh.
Um, I come from the example of my dad was home every night, but he wasn't the leader in the household, right? And so just that mix, um, it was definitely a recipe for what it was. It really was. And so I come into the marriage very immature, very selfish, and needing to grow in a lot of areas, not only from a discipline standpoint, but having no idea who I am, what my purpose is as a man, having no life plan, no goals, and yeah, I was outside. She, her her way was abrasive. 5'2", nose in my chest, daring me to hit her was her way of arguing. And my way of dealing with that and not hitting her was to grab my keys and I'm in the wind.
Uh huh.
And so you take a 20 something year old grown man who's got unresolved exception issues, right? Rejection issues. Uh, yeah, with a full tank of gas. Well, I went and found somebody who was kinder talking.
Right.
Proverbs talks about the one with the sweet word. Yeah, I went and found her. She talked to me nicely,
She
right?
talked to you nicely. Yeah.
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 And so it's just looking back on it again. I didn't have the tools to lead myself, but again, to your point, man, it all gave me the life experience, and the wisdom came from doing all of the things. Um, so much so to the fact I had jury duty last week, and I'm on the elevator, and I'm at a place where, because now I know my purpose, uh, it's really easy for me to talk about what I do, the work that I do with my nonprofit. So I'm on the elevator, and there's a young man that's going through it, and I said, "Hey, this is what I'm Damon. I'm the executive director of an organization called Bro Can We Talk. Would love for you to tap in with us on all of the socials, and it's a safe place for men." And he was me. He was me on that same elevator so many years ago. He said, "Man, I need it. I need it." And his face had that defeated look on his face, and he said, "I'm going to child support court." And I said, I can relate. I shared a little bit with him um, about me being in those same shoes. And I just recall it's just I don't go to the courthouse in Mecklenburg County in Charlotte. I don't go down there without being reminded of my child support case days. When I was in that very same building, and my ex-wife would be sitting at the table with that person that's supposed to be on both sides, right? That's supposed to be non-partial and impartial, and her and my ex-wife would be sitting there like the best of friends, Mo, keying, And you talk about already feeling defeated in child support court. The person that's supposed to be the moderator is seemingly siding with my ex, and I mean, the court system. I don't want to necessarily get into what's right and wrong about the court system, but fathers really catch a bad rap when it goes to family court. So it was one of the lowest points in my life, man. It really was, being in that building. So it really brought back some memories when I ran into that young man last week.
So y'all were married how long?
We were married for 3 years. Three.
3 years.
Yeah.
And y'all have two amazing children out of that.
Yep. Got two amazing children, and just had my first granddaughter about 5 months ago.
Awesome, awesome. What was some of the what was some of the let's say broken pieces that came out of the divorce for you?
Well, we didn't have any assets to divide, so um, it was very amicable, I guess. It wasn't ugly from that regard. I would say the biggest losses from that family unit not lasting was that my experience with my children is less than what I would desire for it to be, as far as the quality of relationship. My children from a very young age have been obviously told things that don't line up with who I am. And I say that because I remember my daughter, she's now 21, but I remember her being a senior in high school, and I was excited because this was the last of my child support payments, when she graduates or turns 18, whichever comes first. But I just remember having a conversation with her we're talking last year of high school, and she was still being led to believe that I hadn't been paying child support. And so that those kind of things hurt, that my character, my integrity could be in question, or that my children will be lied to in general, man. I just want their foundation to be steady. The world is going to be hard enough for them to figure out what's a distraction and what's worth their time, but that their foundation could be tainted, it really bothered me. And so it was at that moment when my daughter said that she was told such and such, that I had to actually go into my UltiPro, was the software that kept track of payroll.
Uh-huh.
And I showed her. I said, "No, sweetheart, I want you to see right here. You see where it says 1,200 a month? Yes, ma'am. That's what that line is right there." So, and that I think the first time my ex wife put me on child support, my son was 2, and my daughter wasn't born yet. And so you got to think, he's 3 years older than she is. And so from the time he was 2 to the time she was 18, um, I paid child support consistently. And like I know, if I had missed any single payment, I would have been in jail, because that woman is connected. I don't know how in the world. But yeah, she's very vindictive. God bless her. But yeah. But man, again, even that situation I'm thankful for, because it qualified me to have conversations with other guys who were in the same predicament. And it's funny, man, the church that you mentioned where I met you, I was actually invited by my ex-wife after we had divorced. And so uh, it would be a couple years later that I ended up meeting. I would say it was about 4 or 5 years after I got there that I would end up meeting my now wife, and now we just celebrated 13 years of marriage. She had two children, I had the two children, and we have one daughter together. So three girls and two boys, ages 26, 24, 23, 21, and 11. So squad, squad.
And it's a beautiful family. How
Thank
important do you? Well, I ain't gonna say how important. What is your thought on the children being weaponized and against a parent?
Well, the biggest thing, I'll say it this way. We can debate the impact that it has on the parent and on the child all day long, but all of that can vary based on the makeup of the parent, the child, the relationship, and other factors that have an influence on the individuals themselves. However, the biggest thing is that the time cannot be, you can't regain the time. And so, I'm in a season where in the last 4 years, no, excuse me, in the last 2 years, four friends of ours have buried their child. In the last 2 years, people that my wife and I are close to, four people, four different couples have buried a child. That's a big number. One is too many. Um, Numerous people have buried their parents, and a couple of people have buried their spouse in recent years. And so I think it's just as I've gotten older, the realization that we really are here for a short time. I think that my children are in the age where they don't value the time. I certainly did not value the time when I was in my early 20s, right? And so we're in a time, man, where people are being plucked away. People are being called home, if you will, daily. And I think that's the biggest downer to the whole being estranged from your children, right? Is that you never know if you'll see anybody again, but to for them to be willfully allowing the time to pass, it really hurts.
Do you believe that the narrative that was being written, um, based off of the writer of the narrative, that it damaged your relationship with your children, and in that, how long has it how long was the process of it becoming to a point to where it you could start to see the daylight and it started to be restored?
Ask me the first part of your question again.
um what the narrative, do you believe that the narrative that was being written damaged your relationship? And and in that, how long was that narrative that was being written, how long did it take for you to even get to a place where you started to see some kind of improvement or growth or light at the end of the tunnel?
Sure. The narrative, I think, was heavy because the makeup of my children, right? My children didn't want to, quote unquote, hurt their mom. And so they weren't the type to buck and say, well, or even just to speak up, right? I want to be with my dad. I want to go hear what my dad has to say. It wasn't any of that. It was okay, well, mom said, and so this is what we're plus, the makeup of my ex-wife, man, her personality, um, she's a very strong alpha type personality. And so with my children being more passive, I could definitely see them just going along to keep peace at home. Um, as far as seeing the light goes, I always thought that when they were around 12 and 9, I always thought that it would change once they became old enough to make their own decisions, right? And one of the things that I regret is not fighting, not vocally fighting more, being more present for the fight. Because what I did is I allowed the fight to wear on me to the point that I just would acquiesce and say, okay, well, I'll just get them next weekend, right? Or I'll just see them when I see them. And so that's one of my big regrets, man. Is not because what happened was, um, while I was giving it space to develop on its own, they were still being programmed and manipulated,
Uh-huh.
right? And so me not fighting back gave the brainwasher more time to brainwash, if you will,
For sure.
right? And
For
and it
sure.
it's not all on my ex. It's a group effort, you know. Um, her mom and the whole unit over there. Shout out to the whole family, but God bless them, man. It's what I realized is that no matter what, I couldn't allow as meaningful and as heavy as that thing is with my children. Trust me, I have cried plenty and plenty of times. So much so to the fact that this whole situation, we're talking years and years, over a decade, that I've been dealing with this attitude and mindset from my children's mom. Um, it's just numbed me. It's really hardened me, and it's not the healthiest. But in order for me to be productive in anything else, then obviously I have to compartmentalize that thing, um, or else I'll never get anything else done. And so that's part of the push for the work that I'm doing now, because I know for a fact that you know men are dealing with this all over the world. And so that's one of the things that drives me is making sure that men have a voice, that they are able to have a voice, and that they know that their voice matters to help men find their own audience. But really, man, it's a thing that I'm passionate about, because there aren't many safe spaces for men to share what they're going through.
Right.
There
Right.
really just aren't, especially safe spaces that they won't be judged, and that there's not something that disqualifies them, right? And so I was just thinking back. I had a conversation the other day, and I said that there's no blueprint for Bro Can We Talk, because I can't think of a group that includes, or that not just includes, but a group that's making room at the table for the Christian and the Muslim, the black and the white, the gay and the straight, the young and the old, the elders, you know what I mean, and the youth. There's not many, the convicted felon and the PhD. I can't think of any rooms that are bringing each and every one of these demographics into, and saying we want to hear from you. So, um, the experiences of men, if we will just pay attention, man, we can learn so much from each other's experience. But I'm really big on rethinking and recreating what safe is, because too often leaders have welcomed people in, but then manipulated it for free labor, right? And it's become what leadership wants, as opposed to what matters to the actual constituents. So I just I'm excited, man, about this season of life, because I remember it was you, man. Over the years, one of the things that you have instilled in me as a big bro is learning to fall in love with the process. And you got to be borderline maniacal to fall in love with the process. But it just takes getting to a point where you realize that the only thing that works is the work. And the process is a sucky, sucky place, bro. It really is, but it's so necessary to get to better, to get to what's next. No process required to have what you have. So stay where you are. No process required.
For sure. For sure. No process required to stay where you are. That's so in your transition, you married, you got divorced, you got two kids, you're on child support, you're having some internal battles a few years later. Did that cause you to go the did you get destructive any during that time? What was your healing process like?
Did I get destructive? Absolutely. I I lost my virginity to my ex-wife senior year of high school. And so my drug of choice was females, right? Um, and I just remember, man, I just went from relationship to relationship to relationship, and that behavior alone is destructive, right? Never taking the time to focus on who I was, and so yeah, I definitely, I'm not necessarily proud of it, but man, memories, memories, yes, sir.
But it's part of the story that who makes you who you are. So when you go on that path, what was your enlightenment moment when you was on that path, and what steps did you take to get healed to start your healing process?
It's a good question. So, um, if I had to think about it, I would say my enlightening moment um, was just looking at the trajectory and kind of looking at where I was. I remember I remember I realized that I had been, entertaining some amazing young ladies, um, but it was just a waste of my time because I didn't see myself with that particular person long term. Um, I actually I remember becoming so nitpicky about things and that I would find a reason. Oh, this person is amazing, but her hands are sweaty. Or this other person is amazing. She's a size zero waist. Like, oh, this is fun, but she's loud, right? And so um, I'm thankful that I was able to start being so picky, um, because it tightened, I guess, my desire. It tightened my taste buds, and so when the opportunity came, I was in the right place, to receive my wife.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so it it was so wild because of all the experiences I had accumulated. When Tiffany and I started in our courting phase and that talking phase, one of the things that really got her points with me was that she was just so non-judgmental, and everything I told her, it just felt more safe than anything I'd ever experienced. And and yeah, man, it just, the more I told her and she didn't run, the more it made me feel free to tell her. And that's what vulnerability does, man. I'm gonna give you a little bit, And if I feel safe with what I've given you, then now I trust that I can give you more. And so
Oh, for sure. For sure. Anytime you take a person's vulnerability and you use it as a weapon, you pretty much then shut that person down because they will never talk to you again in that capacity.
that's it. That's it.
So you got married, did you take any baggage or any unresolved issues from that relationship into your new marriage?
No, no. I mean that situation is loud enough as it is, and so it's really obvious what I'm still dealing with as far as that goes. Um, but at the end of the day, I can no longer be upset with my ex-wife for who she is. Now my focus is my children are adults and the choices they make are their own. And so it's a new acceptance at this point because of the season of life that they're in. So
And I ain't even talking about that. You know what I'm saying? That's the growth process. I'm talking about you as an individual, coming out of that process. What how long did it take for you to know that you were healed, or what steps did you take to heal? So when you got married, was you whole and married, or was you still processing through some of the things, some of the suitcases that you carried into the marriage, and then you became whole while you were already married, or
I,
through your courting process?
I definitely, as the story goes, I was healed as I went. I was definitely still had some maturing to do, still had some learning to do. And even to this day, 13 years in, I'm still learning my wife. We are teenagers, as we say it now. At age 13, we are still babies in this thing,
Yeah,
right? And so, um, if you get to a place in any relationship where there's nothing else to learn, I think it's boring and it's in jeopardy. I just
yeah,
I feel like, especially a relationship where seasons of life are changing, there's always more to learn because I don't know her in this season, you know, like I knew her when we were both in corporate roles. I don't know her as a grandmother who's a boss with a real estate license and working on coaching certifications. This is a whole nother season for her, and so
right.
there's a lot, with her losing her parents, both her parents within 4 years. This is a whole new season of learning her, and so there's always something to learn, man. Always.
You are absolutely right. And we're gonna shift a little bit. How did you birth Bro Can We Talk? What prompted that? What brought that on? I know you kind of shared a little bit about what it is, but how was it birthed?
Sure. From my hurt, from an accumulation of my experiences, and from my frustration. I remember being in a place where I said, God, show me my purpose. What am I here for? And I looked back over every stop that I've made and every sick situation or circumstance that I've been through. And it really just adds up to where I'm at today. And so uh, I remember God gave me the name Bro Can We Talk? And I thought that was just so clever and so catchy because that's exactly what we need is we need to talk. Men need to talk more, and men need to know that they can talk more without again being judged. And I was so intimidated by it. It would be so much easier, number one, if there were a blueprint for it, but it would be so much easier also if it were just for a monolith, right? If it were just for black men, if it was just for gay men, if it was just for Christian men or Muslim men, but it's not, right? And so that makes it even more daunting because they say, there's niches, there's riches and niches. Well, this niche is so all encompassing. Uh, it scared me away. It really did, and so ran with it. Locally, we had some meetings and participation was really good, about 25 guys monthly. But the more real the conversations got, the more intimidated I got by building the idea of building this organization out. Reason for that, at that time, I saw the dream, but I did not see my team. All I saw was the work, and I had no idea who was going to help me accomplish it or how. I did what Jonah did, right? I said, nope, find somebody else to do it.
Uh-huh.
And I took my black ass towards Nineveh, right? Find somebody else. So I was in a season, man, where um, just had some savings, trying to figure out what my next move financially was. And I knew this is 2021. I knew that trucking has been crushing it, right? So I like the drive. Let's go see if I can get my hands on a box truck. And so applied for a loan on a box truck, got approved, and jumped into trucking, man. And bro, can we talk? It was something I remember talking to you from the road, man, and you say, "What's up with bro? Can we talk?" And oh man, well, we're gonna get to that, but right now I just got to get to this money. And I remember like just crushing it, making more money than I'd ever made working for anybody else. In those first 6 months, I made $180,000 at the beginning, between 165 to $180,000 in the first 6 months of 2022. July rolls around 2022, and the rates have now just crashed. The same excellent pay that I would get for a run was less than half all of a sudden. And I think my gray hair has doubled from the middle of 2022 to now because the stress that came with trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to carry my household bills along with these company bills and this overhead on this truck and maintenance and fuel and the whole nine. It got to be a lot. So long story short, I'm crazy enough to believe, and shout out to all of the truckers, man. I've been there on the road, crossing the country, Montana, Cali, Texas, Florida, you name it. I know what that life looks like being away from your family for 3 weeks at a time. But I'm crazy enough to believe that God gave me that opportunity to do that just so I could get a little more experience and relatability, all while also growing my mind up and sharpening my mindset for business. So with that said, man, the end of 2023, I actually got out of trucking and now I'm focusing full time volunteering my time with Bro Can We Talk. We recently got approved for 501c3 status, which is pretty cool.
Dope.
Yeah, I remember that's something that you and I had talked about multiple times, and you said just do it. And so, man, I shout out to Mo, man, because Mo, you and a handful of others, bro, from day one have been on my back, like, yo, just do it, just do it, just do it. And again, it was me seeing the work, all of it, without seeing the how. And so yeah, man, baby steps will get you to the journey if you keep moving.
That is 100% true. Baby steps will get you
To the
to
destination.
the um to the end. So now Bro Can We Talk is out here in these streets
Yeah.
doing Bro Can We Talk things. So um Again, I don't know, just for those that might be jumping in now, what is the purpose of Bro Can We Talk?
So at the end of the day, Bro Can We Talk exists to create safe, all inclusive spaces for men to share their stories. We're building a community of men who come from all different backgrounds, all different experiences. We're creating platforms and mechanisms for men to unite and network in a new way. So um, we're meeting, having meetups, breakfast meetings, community events that we're getting together. We've got a conference coming up in October, and you are going to be one of our illustrious keynote speakers. I'm excited about that. And yeah, man, Bro Can We Talk is recreating safe, man. We want to give men something where they can be proud to say they are a part of, and from a leadership standpoint, keep everything above board and nothing hidden, right? Again, that 501c3 piece gives us the credibility with the IRS. Excuse me,
For
first
sure.
and foremost. But to maintain that, we have to make sure that we are a credible organization, man. And so I'm thankful for the team that we are, you know, have put together and that we are continuing to build on, that are helping me, with the day to day and planning out stuff, man. So yeah, Bro Can We Talk? We out here, man. We outside. We are. It's crazy too, bro, because it's that power of momentum, the law of momentum, right? Once you get started, the thing that was once so daunting is now the thing that's a little more aggravating, because you got to do it, but you definitely not scared to do it. Now it's just finding the time to get it done.
For
So
sure. For sure. So look, y'all going here we go. Bro Can We Talk on all social media platforms. Real easy to find. This is the logo. Pull it up, join the community, have your husbands and your brothers and your nephews and your uncles and your fathers all to be a part of this male only exclusive platform. No disrespect to the women. It's just that women have a ton of stuff and a ton of outlets and a ton of spaces that they can go to and be a part of and have this sense of community. Bro, Can We Talk is a space where men can be men without being judged or being looked at any kind of way. And this is not just black men. This is the word men, and you put everything under that that design that is attached to that. And I'm gonna clarify this. He's probably not gonna say this, but I'm gonna say this. This is uh men born as men to be a part of this group.
there you go.
Um, Nothing against anything that anybody else, but this is not that. And no offense, and no, come for me if you want to. I'm here for it, but that's not what this is. So I just wanted to clarify that. And
Uh,
also, he's talked about a conference that's coming up in October. Yo, y'all need to go cop y'all tickets. Scan that QR code right there. It's going to take you to where you can go get your tickets. You don't want to miss this conference. I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be crazy off the chain. As you can see, we have our homeboy, Dr. Kendall Taylor, that's going to be one of the speakers. I'm one of the speakers,
sir.
hosted by my man Damon and his whole team. So look, scan that QR code, get your ticket, pull up in Charlotte, October 12th. That's where we're going to be in Charlotte doing this conference. And this is just the first of many conferences that's going to be popping off. And you need to be a part of that conference. Let me put it up there again, just so that y'all can have that QR code.
Yeah. So Mo, this conference we're going to have in addition to you guys being keynote speakers, we're going to have a panel discussion where you guys, along with Winston, who is my right hand man, the president of our organization, we're going to have a panel discussion where we'll discuss vulnerability, fears, and different things like that. But we'll also have a live Q&A session where the audience will then get to lob whatever questions real time at us, and we're going to answer those questions. In addition to that, we're also going to have breakout sessions where different topics will be discussed, and that's going to be phenomenal, man. That's the whole culture of Bro Can We Talk, is circling up chairs and everybody getting to chime in on subjects, man, so that we can support one another and get advice from one another, sharing our own experiences with situations, because typically the wisdom we need is right around us if we have the gall and if we feel comfortable enough to ask for it. And so I'm thankful to be a part of this organization of men. Shout out to all of the ladies. You actually are more than welcome to follow us on all of the socials, except for Facebook. The Facebook is a private community for men, but by all means, go subscribe and follow us on YouTube, as well as like and share, if you will. We would be so thankful for you helping us push awareness, because men's mental health has to be front of mind. We have to focus on men's mental health. I believe that when we get men together, the rest of the family unit lines up. And this is no shade to the women. I love women. Women, 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 women. That's an inside joke. You remember that? Shout out to Andrew Caldwell. Women, 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 women. But no, man, shout out to all of the leaders who are female. We love you. We respect you. But this particular platform is designed to focus on men's mental health. And so I'm so thankful to be a part of it. Mo, I'm so thankful for you allowing me space on your amazing platform. As for the conference, guys, there are limited tickets. We wanted to keep this inaugural conference, this inaugural event, exclusive. And so there were only 150 tickets available. I'm not sure right now how many are left, but I would definitely scan that QR code and go ahead and get your tickets, get locked in for Charlotte, North Carolina for October the 12th. And you definitely don't want to delay those tickets. If we have any left, those tickets prices will jump up as we get closer to the event. I think they're going to go up. They're $88 now, and they're going to go up, if I'm not mistaken, 128, I think was the number that was set by the team, towards the middle of September. So don't delay. Get your tickets now. Vendors, if you are a vendor and you are interested, there's also a ticket. You can scan that QR code, and there's a ticket for vendors as well. So I'm excited, bro. We're gonna have some merch available at the conference, man. It's gonna be a phenomenal time, and of course, we are supporting Backspins. My man Claude Whitfield was so gracious, man, to partner with us for this thing. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm really
Man,
excited.
that's what's up. I'm excited to be a part of it as well.
Yes, sir.
Um, I just have one last question for you.
Sure.
What is something that you didn't pay attention to when you were younger that you had to learn the hard way as you got older?
If I had to only answer one thing, I would say that life really is a solo sport with a supporting cast, right? I think that's really been the main thing, is that um, those who are achieving at a high level, they were determined to do it with or without the support of others, and they figured out that the support would come as long as they kept going, as long as they stayed mission focused. And so that's something that I've had to figure out, is that Nobody cares. Nobody cares about anything that you got going on until they know that you are sold out, committed to it, and crazy about it, right? And so that's one of the things. Another thing is that I figured out that the people who you would love to be there with you and supporting you the most are the people that seem to be the furthest away, and that one kind of bothers me some from time to time. But again, forward is the mission, and I can't achieve better and what's next if I'm focused on yesterday and what's behind. So, I'll leave seats at the table open uh, for all men, including my day ones, and hope that they will come along when the time is right for them. Right? I don't want anybody to come just because it's something that I'm building. I want them to come because it makes sense and they see value in it for themselves. And so I think that if they would come and just check it out, I feel like all men would definitely see that Bro Can We Talk has a culture that is inclusive, and it's not an organization that, hey, this is my idea, let's go execute it. No, as a team, what do we think we can do to make this more attractive for other people?
That's what's up. That's what's up. You got anything else you want to say to the people?
To those of you who are not in Charlotte, North Carolina, the more you share our content, the more you share our videos, and word gets out about Bro Can We Talk as a nonprofit and a 501c3, the more funding that we get our hands on, the faster we are in your city doing events. Because my heart is to simultaneously have meetings going on in multiple cities throughout this country and multiple cities and states in other countries as well. Bro Can We Talk is a global movement, and we're just getting started. So that's all I got to say, man. To every man out there, I would say forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know at the time. Forgive yourself for not being disciplined enough to make better decisions at the time. With that said, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what month of what year it is, when you're seeing this video, right now starts a brand new day. So no matter what happened, what are you going to do now? Take accountability for it and take action. Let's go. That's it.
You heard it here first. I'm your boy Seymour Reese Ball, and this is my man Damon Austin, and you've been chilling with the Open for Discussion podcast. Woo! Hey, I love you like a play cousin. I'm out. Peace.
Love you, bro. Peace.